10 fragrances that are amazing for the Christmas time and for the winter. Think winter 2024. These are 10 amazing fragrances that I'm going to recommend to you. I want to hear, what's your favorite winter or cold weather fragrance? These 10 are a mixture of designer, niche with different price points, and there might be a few fragrances in here that you wouldn't expect to see on this list. So starting off with number 10, this is Replica by the Fireplace. This one I've loved for a very long time, and it's a fragrance that surprisingly actually brings in a lot of compliments. It's not really a fragrance you typically associate with a compliment getting fragrance. It's not a fresh or blue or aromatic fragrance. It's very wintry. It smells like burning woods with chestnuts and marshmallows. Think if you're camping at a campfire, that smell of smoke whilst you're roasting marshmallows over a campfire. That's the kind of smell you get associated with By the Fireplace. And it's the realistic wintry notes in here which make it great for Christmas time. I really find this to be a really warming and comforting, inviting fragrance that, like I said, brings in a lot of compliments. So number 10, Replica by the Fireplace. Number 9, from Jean Paul Gaultier, Laau Elixir. This is a new fragrance, of course. It's been spoken about a lot recently. I've actually included it in a lot of my recent fragrance lists, but I really like this. I find it so addictive. I find it so enjoyable to wear, and it's a fragrance that as I spray it, I just want to keep smelling it. It's so addictive and beautiful. Has that Laau DNA, but it's more modern. It's very sweet and alluring. I guess you could say the honey and the tobacco in here, which comes through after the top notes fade away, I think is just great for the winter time. So you still get the original Laau DNA with mint, with lavender, with vanilla. You've got this sort of thick, sticky honey dripping over the top. Absolutely beautiful. And I think for winter, this is great. And of course, for Christmas, this is going to be great as well. So number 9, Laau Elixir. Now in at number 8, a fragrance that might surprise you because it's not a typical Christmas style fragrance, and that is Polo Green by Ralph Lauren. This is the big 248ml bottle or whatever. It's a weird size. This one reminds me of Christmas mainly because of the pine needle note you get in here. It has a very green, sort of fresh pine needle note, which really reminds me of a fresh Christmas tree. When I was younger, my parents used to have a real Christmas tree in the living room. So maybe after school or on a weekend, you'd come downstairs, walk into the living room, and you'd be hit with this fresh pine needle smell from the Christmas tree. So for that reason, it reminds me of Christmas, and that's why it's in this Christmas list. But aside from that, it's a really wonderful fragrance. It's very old school, so you would have smelt it probably on someone older than you in the past. Has that kind of 80s style, tobacco, green, aromatic feel, really old school, really sophisticated, and really high quality. I love this. And also talking about Christmas, when I was younger, it would be like a fragrance someone older than me would wear, like my dad, my granddad, my uncle, someone like that. Christmas Day, meeting up with the family, somebody would be wearing a fragrance like this. So it has a lot of memories for me for Christmas. And like I said, that pine needle note really remind me of Christmas. In at number 7, a niche fragrance now from Parfums de Marly. This is Herod. I think this is for sure the best wintry or Christmas style fragrance on the Parfums de Marly roster. This has some similarities to Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille, which we are surely going to get onto later on in this list. This is a beautiful, very sweet tobacco style fragrance. Has this sort of cherry-like tobacco feel, like a wet pipe tobacco. Really masculine. Doesn't smell really unisex. Has a real masculine smell to it. Has a woody undertone with some incense, so it does come across masculine. And it's not a really loud projecting fragrance. This one sits quite close to my skin, but in Herod you can really sense the Parfums de Marly quality. You know, if you think of Parfums de Marly as a house, think of what they stand for: easygoing, heavy, sweet, high quality fragrances. I think Herod fits that bill perfectly. I love this. It's great for winter and great for Christmas. It's very warming and inviting, and would be also a great date night fragrance. Number 7, this is Parfums de Marly's Herod. Number 6, a designer fragrance, Stronger With You. Absolutely. This one probably my favorite in the Stronger With You lineup at the moment. I love the mature vibe this gives. It's Stronger With You, but it's grown up. It's more mature. It's almost like Stronger With You was a teenager or a young adult going clubbing, and now he is a more of a sophisticated man going to a nice whiskey bar, not going clubbing and not getting wasted every weekend. This is a grown-up version of the original Stronger With You, with a rum note, with chestnuts, with amber, with lavender. Very warming and very comforting. Winter perfect, but also Christmas. What do you think of when I mention Christmas? You know, I think about nice food. I think about drinking. I like having a few drinks over Christmas. This with the chestnut and and the rum really remind me of Christmas time. So I think Stronger With You, any of them could work really well as a wintry or Christmas style fragrance. But for me, it's Stronger With You, absolutely. That's the best. Do you like coffee fragrances? Because this next fragrance has coffee in. It's a very peculiar fragrance with lots of spices, coffee, amber, and a cocoa note. Any guesses to what it might be? Well, it's from XERJOFF and it's called Golden Dala. Now, I'll be honest with you, I haven't actually worn this fragrance that much. You can see how much is left. I haven't worn this fragrance that much. It's quite a challenging fragrance in a way, but I really like it. It's very different, but it has this warming quality to it because of the spices. Lots of spices, coffee, which by the way, I love in fragrances. You don't get many fragrances with coffee in, but this has coffee in, and it sort of smells like Turkish coffee. Have you ever tried Turkish coffee? It's spices with coffee. It's not your typical coffee you'd have like at home. It smells very different, and this has that kind of smell to it. Those spices really make this warming, so great for winter. You have amber, which of course is a very warming fragrance note with coffee and cocoa. So this one really reminds me of winter. This is very strong as well. I have no performance problems with this. It performs really well, and it has a very luxurious and niche quality feel to it, which is of course what you want when we're paying a lot of money for fragrances. And XERJOFF are a niche fragrance house, but they have delivered with this with a very high quality and long lasting fragrance. For me, this is great for winter, and I would actually consider this to be a beast mode fragrance. This is Golden Dala by XERJOFF. In at number 4, how could I not include this in a wintry Christmas list? This is SPICEBOMB Extreme. Of course, if you've been watching any fragrance videos recently, as we're coming to Christmas and to winter, there's no doubt you're going to see SPICEBOMB high up on most people's lists. And not just this year, for the past 7 or 8 years. Since it's been released, it's been a really highly talked about fragrance. And that's why I don't want to spend too much time on it, because you've heard all there is about SPICEBOMB Extreme. But for me, it's probably the best in the SPICEBOMB line, along with the new infrared EDP, which is wonderful as well. There are some talks of reformulation of SPICEBOMB Extreme, but I've just got my hands on a bottle from 2016 or 2017, something like that, and I'm going to do a video comparison on this next week, because I'm not too sure there's that much difference in the old ones versus the new one, but I really need to sit down, compare them, give them some time so I get a real understanding of how they perform differently. But the newer formulation is still a wonderful fragrance. It's very different to a lot of things that are out at the moment. There's nothing being released recently anyway that's anything like SPICEBOMB Extreme. It's unique in that way, and it's going to be on the top of people's winter and Christmas lists for a long time. I think it's a beautiful spicy tobacco with very, very warming, comforting vanilla, perfect for winter, perfect for Christmas. I'm going to wear this a lot this winter. In fact, I already have. Number 4, SPICEBOMB Extreme. Moving on to number 3. These next 3, fantastic, really, really fantastic fragrances, but they're all expensive. Niche fragrances are expensive. This is KILIAN's Angel Share, another fragrance I've spoken about a lot. This one is just Christmas, everything about Christmas, really. This is boozy, it's sweet, it's edible, it's comforting. It's like sitting by a fireplace watching a movie with your family. It's just beautiful. It's like happy memories in a bottle, this, for me. It doesn't get much better. You don't get better than Angel Share, actually. Well, you do. Number 1 is better than Angel Share, but this is in this category, in the gourmand, boozy, spicy category. This is number 1. It's brilliant. Everything from the bottle design to the smell to the enjoyment factor to the quality, it's fantastic. And one great thing about Angel Share, although it's very expensive, we've touched on that, there's different sizes available. So you don't just have to buy a 50ml, you can now buy a 100ml, or you can buy a 250ml decanter, amazing looking thing, or you can buy a refill bottle. So once this is gone, once you buy the 50ml or 100ml and eventually use it up, which you will do because it's fantastic, you can buy a refill for a cheaper price. This one performs well, but it's more about the inviting nature that this has. This is a fragrance that will make people want to sit closer to you. Number 3, KILIAN's Angel Share. Before we continue, please comment down below, what is your favourite winter or Christmas fragrance? I wonder if it will be any of these top 2. So this one, number 2, was my first ever niche fragrance. It was a fragrance that I took a long time to purchase because I wasn't sure which fragrance to spend my money on. I watched a lot of reviews like this perhaps before I got into this. It took me a long time to make the decision to buy Parfums de Marly's OAJAN. When I first got it, I wasn't very impressed with OAJAN. It didn't smell anything particularly different to me. I'd already owned Paco Rabanne 1 Million Privé, had that in my collection at the time, and it smelt similar to that, has a similar quality, had a similar scent profile to that. In a way, it still does, but either as I have grown in knowledge with fragrances and become more experienced with them, learnt about different notes and how fragrances actually work, I've changed my mind. It has this boozy quality, very rich, very indulgent, you could say, and it has a spiciness from cinnamon with lots of honey. Has like an apple pie like smell. So, you know, a warm apple pie. Imagine smelling that as it comes out of the oven. That's the kind of vibe that OAJAN gives. So, of course, that reminds me of winter. Of course, that reminds me of Christmas time. Fantastic. You could even make the argument that OAJAN is the best fragrance on the Parfums de Marly's roster. You could make that argument. It's probably between this and Carlisle, isn't it, really? In the honey, cinnamon, apple, vanilla category, this for me is the best in class. This is Parfums de Marly OAJAN, a must-have for the winter, in my opinion, and a must-have for Christmas. I don't think it gets better than this as a winter or Christmas fragrance. This for me is a perfect fragrance that doesn't need to be changed at all. This is Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille. This for me is a perfect fragrance. It's loud, it's strong, it's very interesting, it's unique in the sense that nothing else comes close to its quality. It's a very, very popular Tom Ford fragrance. It could even be the most popular. Maybe Oud Wood is slightly more popular. But because of its popularity, I think it's been cloned so many times. But no one has come close to how good this smells. For me, this is better than Herod because Herod has some similar qualities to this. But Tom Ford Tobacco Vanille is more interesting. The vanilla is better. It's more of a vanilla extract, a natural vanilla. And the tobacco isn't as heavy. It's not thick and wet like it feels in Herod. It's very dusty, it's almost airy, and the projection of Tobacco Vanille is fantastic. It really projects. About 2 years ago, one of my friends asked for a small sample bottle of Tobacco Vanille because he'd heard some things about it and he wanted to try it. I gave it to him and it was around Christmas time. We're all around my friend's house, about 5 of us, and I went upstairs, came back down, and the whole living room where my friends were, including my friend who was wearing Tobacco Vanille, was just pulsating Tobacco Vanille. I could smell it absolutely everywhere, and he'd probably only sprayed about 4 sprays from a sample bottle. So of course it performs really well. It's very spicy with cloves, with dried fruits, and then you have the beautiful dusty tobacco with airy natural extract vanilla. Fantastic fragrance, and on me it lasts a very long time. This bottle is like 8 years old. This is a vintage bottle. This one literally doesn't come off. I have to shower before this comes off. Doesn't go anywhere. The newer formulation, which I have as well, doesn't last as long as the older one. Unfortunately, it has been reformulated, but it's still a very good fragrance, and you're going to get 8 hours at least from it. In terms of the notes, it just reminds you of Christmas. Every thing about Christmas is in this bottle. You know, it's the warming, comforting feeling. It's the sat by a fireplace, watching a movie, not having a care in the world, time off work. You're spending time with your friends, with your family. You got 2 weeks of freedom. That's what kind of Christmas has always been for me ever since I was at school, and you had the 2 weeks off. And now when you're working, you have 10-day break, and it's just a great time. It's a great time to spend with family and friends, and it's a great time to wear Tobacco Vanille. This is a fantastic winter and Christmassy fragrance. For me, it's one I hopefully will always own in my collection, and I'm always going to wear it in the winter and at Christmas time. So my number one fragrance for Christmas is Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille. But all of these 10 are perfect for Christmas and for winter 2024. Let me know your favourite Christmas and winter fragrance. I'll see you soon.